Joining us now, the most electrifying player to ever grace a college football field. Whenever you talk about the greatest college football players of all time, all the conversations seem to revolve around the same people, and for some reason, this human gets left off of that combo. Multiple-time award winner, won 5 straight bowls, including the Senior Bowl. I was able to ride his coattails to some magical, incredible moments on the field, off the field. One of the greatest leaders I've ever been around, and although his football career did not work out on the field, he is now a coach in college. Former teammate of mine, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. 2K, Pat White.
Yeah! Damn, I love that intro there, Pat, man.
Hey, it's very real. I got to see it up close and personal. There was never enough respect. In the NIL deals, if you were able to get those back in the day, you built all of fucking Morgantown and never got paid off for it. I wish you were in the wrong era, brother. I was lucky to be there, though, when you were there.
We'd all be riding around with Mercedes right now. We rolling.
Hey, the potholes would have been tough, and obviously the drunk, stumbling humans would have been tough to avoid. But, Pat, how's life? You're in the coaching game now down at Campbell. You enjoying it? Back in football? Yeah. Were you jaded with football? Are you excited to be back in there? Where's your mindset at?
Oh, yeah, I was definitely jaded for a while, but I am blessed to be back in there. Former teammate of ours, Ryan Stanchek, is the one who got me back into it. I'm forever grateful to him for that, man. And back coaching my QB, so loving every second of it.
How different is the game now? Obviously, the game is much different. I feel like athletic quarterbacks are all over the place. Like when you're coaching them now, are they coming into college different than they were when you were coming out of high school?
The game has evolved downfield, especially for you defensive guys, right? That RPO game is a lot for you all to see, right? It's a lot on your eyes, but quarterback-wise, obviously more athletic, right? They're starting to look more and more like me, which is I appreciate it. Right? I'm a little bit early, but it's definitely a plus to be able to coach the guys who can move and get around the field a little bit.
Hey, how similar is the offense that you and Steve and Owen and Darius and everybody in that offensive line, including Stanchek, who got you into coaching? Shout out to Ryan Stanchek. How similar is that to what everybody is doing now? Was that like kind of what everybody's doing now? And do you feel like you're way ahead of the game?
It's not kind of what everybody's doing. It's exactly what everybody's doing with addition of downfield throws, right? All we were doing was getting bubbles to Darius Reynard and let him do the rest of the work. And now they're throwing that thing downfield, so safeties have to get involved. Man, it's a little more advanced.
Aren't you the perfect person to be coaching it, though? It feels like this is the right place, right time for you right now.
I think you hit the nail on the head. And I got real life experience doing it from the early stages, inception. So, I mean, now to be here coaching is definitely a plus. So, when I'm speaking from experience. I ain't guessing.
Hey, whenever the guys, do they all know you from 2K, I assume, all the players now? They just remember you from the video game? Or do you have to show them some highlights and be like, hey, every one of you would get fucking cooked by me? How is the respect level amongst the players? I assume immediately they love having you around.
Well, a lot of them don't realize it, right? They just see me as Coach White, and then when they figure out, they're like, hold on, Coach. You the guy I used to play with on the video game? Oh, man, that's crazy. And I'm like, yep, I saw about $500 from it.
Hey, you remember O'Bannon? Hey, thanks, O'Bannon, man. Got a good settlement. We got about $600 each. Yeah. Hey, we appreciate that. That was awesome. You were the face of that game. Still are, by the way. People are talking about bringing it back, and your name is immediately associated with it. When you look back at your time at West Virginia, I was very lucky to be there front row watching you grow as a player. From the opportunity that you were not supposed to have, somebody gets injured, you come in and absolutely make the most of it. You tag team with Steve Slayton, who was supposed to go to Maryland, and then Fridge pulls his scholarship offer a week beforehand. He ends up at West Virginia. You become this dynamic duo that changed football, ESPN, the Big East, everything. When you look back on it, do you do that often? Have you tried to separate yourself from it? What are your thoughts on Morgantown and your time there at West Virginia?
Every time I try to separate myself, there's another highlight that pops up. But I definitely appreciate that. Don't get me wrong. Pat, do you remember this, though? How you made your name and how you got started. It was another Louisville game.
Go on.
Right? Well, we had a shank punt, unfortunately. And from then on out, Pat Mac did all the special teams.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
the legend grows.
I do remember
I don't know
that.
if you remember that.
Oh, I remember that.
It was a tough loss.
It was a tough loss. It was in Louisville. It was late game. Punt's supposed to go left.
Yep.
Ends up going right. They return it to the house. Next day, I'm called into Rich Rodriguez's office. Hey, you're fucking punting next week. I was like, all right, I got to figure out. First punt, I roll, I kick, I fall. I slip and fall as I'm hitting it. Get a great roll, though. Great roll. And it was like, all right, we're off and running at this point. I was lucky to be a part of that group, though. Everybody worked their ass off, Pat. That Barwis workout, 6:30 a.m., it felt like everybody is in. Everybody was in. Is it like that nowadays still? Is there any difference, you think, between the culture of what it used to be like and what it is now? What we had, I think, was special. I don't know if a lot of people have it.
I'm unsure about Morgantown because I am not there. But I will say this. In Bowie's Creek, North Carolina, here at Campbell University, Mike Mentor, Coach Mint, is doing a great job of implementing that and establishing that. Right? I'm bought in on what he's teaching right now. I'm very grateful to be here, right? Campbell in the middle of nowhere, FCS school, and like, where is that? Who is that? But Coach Mint is doing a hell of a job, fellas.
What do you think about this generation of players? Is it tough to coach them? Are they softer? That's what everybody says. Oh, this group's softer. Is that true, or is that just an excuse?
It's the age of social media. So everybody expects instant gratification on everything in life, right? And some kids don't understand that you got to work for it. You got to wait. You got to be patient. And right? If you live it right and you do right, it'll come to you. So they just expect it to happen now. In some cases, not all cases. You still got your grinders.
Now, yeah, you guys mentioned Rich Rodriguez and playing for him. What was that like? We know he's a very intense, hard-driving coach. Obviously, puts together a great staff. You guys won a ton of games. Do you look back now that you're coaching, and do you ever use any of the tactics that Rich Rod used on you?
Oh yeah, I'm an asshole.
Are you?
About it.
Are you really?
I mean, some Rich Rod in me. I can't help it. I spent 4 years with the man, so it was helpful for me. Some of it, not all of it. And hopefully it'll be helpful to my players here in the future.
Hey, he was intense, man. That was my first time getting dropped into the football world. But we would win games, and a lot of that is because you and the group that we had in there. But there is no way Rich Rodriguez could coach in 2022 the same way that he coached when we were in college. Now he's getting an opportunity at Jacksonville State, and he's evolving. You said you have a little bit of Rich Rod in you. Is there any other coaches you learned from, any other people you learned from to create your coaching style?
But there are a lot of people who were influential in my journey. Essentially, forgive me, that's my daughter in the background screaming.
Hey, she's more
a lot of
than
people
Oliver.
Influential. Oh yeah, she's gonna be an animal now. But, I mean, one person I reached out recently to, came back in contact with, was David Lee, my former coach for the Miami Dolphins. And he was very influential in helping me. Even though that relationship didn't work out, I get it. It's business. It was bigger than what he and I had going on, but he spent that time with me. Right? And to have that relationship with him now I'm very grateful for it. Also, just watching and learning from my dog, Chad Pennington, one of the best to ever do it. Right? I think he was about 10 shoulder surgeries in, and still dropping back, still putting that thing on the money, on time, and just to be able to coach from those experiences, I'm very grateful for. I also got my dog George Whitfield. He helped me out. He's quirky with it, but he taught me some football.
Let's talk about your NFL experience. You get drafted to the Dolphins. This comes after a combine in which I believe they told you to beefen up because the quarterback, you're going to have to take hits. So they kind of took away everything that made you special. Now, granted, you were still special, but whenever you fell to the Dolphins, I think all of us were confused. I got a chance to watch you work and perform. And then that whole thing unfolds. And then you go to Washington, I believe, and that whole thing unfolds. How do you view the NFL, and how much do you think, like, man, if now was the time, I'd be the fucking guy? It's hard not to think about that, I'd assume.
Yeah, it crosses my mind. It's brought up from time to time, but I look at it as me being in a great position now as a person who experienced it firsthand to be able to coach it. Again, right, I'm 36 now, And I'm sure, like both of you, some days you like, shit, I can maybe still do it, but then you realize, hold on, I'm old. But just to have the opportunity to be able to get out there and coach from experience is a plus. Right? Kids look at you like, yeah, right. What you talking about? Like, no, mofo, I did it.
Did you always plan on coaching, or was it something you never thought you'd do?
Try to run from it. Right. I had a bad taste from my experience in the league, unfortunately, with the game, and being back in the game is a blessing for me able to work through that and get over it. And a shout out to Ryan Stanchek for staying on me, because he wouldn't allow me to say no too many times. I tried, and he's like, "No, bro, you supposed to be doing this." And I'm like, yeah, let's roll.
Well, the game day is better with you in it, and I'm excited to see where you grow in the coaching ranks. You're all the way back in, though. The White Brothers Flag Football down there in Alabama, Eastern Shore Flag Football League, one of the NFL's off of the NFL. Mm-hmm. He's got Phillip Rivers coaching in this thing.
What?
Whoa. Let's go, dude. You're growing the game. You're giving back to the game. The White Brothers are doing everything. Let's go, Pat.
Yeah.
I mean, where else would you want to be on, I'm guessing, Tuesdays and Thursdays during the middle of the week, other than in Dahn, Alabama, watching my dog Phillip coach flag, yo. It's crazy.
You're giving back to the game, though. You're back coaching. What do you view? Are you just trying to focus on like today and on Campbell, or do you obviously have grand plans to take over and be a head coach someday? I think you would have to, especially with how competitive of a human you are.
I am working on making good young men better men on a daily basis, and making sure that they're on time. I'm always watching feet, so I'm being what my feet are.
Oh, focusing on now, everything else will come. You were drafted to the MLB like what, 4 or 5 times? You still do any athletics? What are you doing? You throwing the ball around? You running it all? What do we got? Are we getting old? We're a dad now, about to have another child, I believe. Pat's.
Yeah, so I've been working on the girls, trying to get balls in their hands. They've been very hesitant. One of them, my oldest, my youngest girl right now, she loves it every day. Ball, dad, let's play. She's on my neck, beat my ass, whatever. The most important, right? I got a little junior on the way.
Hey, congrats.
See White the second, man. It made me feel like a man again. All respect to my daughters, but having that son makes you feel manly.
Well, Pat C. White the second is going to have a lot to live up to, obviously. The boys have some questions. Go ahead, Ty.
Pat, going back to the baseball, was there ever a point where you actually considered that as a future, or was it always football? Or like after you were done in the league, did you ever think like, oh shit, I should have went and played baseball. I might still be playing.
Actually, before I started, got in versus Louisville, so I was ready to give it up. Call my dad, like, listen, these guys, Rich Rod, don't think I can play quarterback. He ain't gonna never put me in. They keep throwing this guy in. He keeps getting hurt. Keep going back in. Whatever. I'm like, bring my glove. He's like, heck no, son. You show up every day and you act like you're the starter. Right? At the end of the week, if you still feel the same way, I will bring your glove. Right? That game, he got hurt. I went into Louisville, and the rest is history. So, yes, I thought about it. I was ready to get the heck up out of Morgantown. Like, listen, I'm going to swing a stick.
Thank God you didn't. Just from my particular perspective, I'm very thankful you didn't. Didn't you? You were in the minors, didn't you, for a little bit? You went and tested it out and tried it out?
Yeah, I did spend some time with the Royals for a little bit. Actually, a couple of years before they won that World Series, kicking myself in the butt. But it was right after that brief stint with the Dolphins. I felt like I was a little too aged to be out there competing with 17, 18-year-olds at 25 at the time, trying to compete for, rookie ball contract or single A, double A, whatever it may be. I did do it.
Could you see the curveball? You could see the ball? Did you get a check mark in your head? Like, if I wanted to be a pro, I could have been?
You try me, Pat.
No.
Listen, I am athlete.
Brandon Marshall.
But check this. I was 2 for 6, and I hadn't swung a bat in like 6 years. So I mean, it's like riding a bike. I don't mean to brag, but you guys, I can play a little baseball.
Go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, Pat, you mentioned how the offenses now in college football are kind of more curtailed to your style of play. Do you see a difference in defenses now? Like, are they more athletic? Do you think you'd have more success today than you did even back then?
They've adjusted a lot, especially with the defensive ends. They also they're putting more of like a 4-2-5, a 3-3-5. So there's like a extra safety back there who's roaming, and his responsibility is to attack. So I mean, there's some adjustments on both sides being made, which is good for the game, right?
Anytime you would stick that foot in though, and it was, hey, we are going this way now. It was game, set, match. As soon as, and the only thing that would ever get us is if there was any penetration. It felt like any penetration that kind of slowed down the rhythm of you and Steve, or your dive to Owen or pitch to Steve. But as soon as from the sideline perspective, because I did punt, I did kick, so literally the end of every single drive, I'm doing something, and I would normally tell like early in the game, does this team have any fucking chance? And then you would get him, he would get to the side, and then it would just be one step, and then as soon as he turned this way, it was like all right, a lot of fucking kicking today. Wait, this team ain't going to be able to catch up. Whenever you got into zones like that, was it just like, could you tell me the high? Because I don't think I've ever asked you, because like while we were living it, we were enjoying it, and then we had to work our asses off and we had to do it again. Was there some games where you just thought to yourself, nobody can touch me on this field? Because that's what it looked like from the outside looking in.
Forgive me for this statement, but every game, whether it happened or not, that was the feeling I had to work myself up to going into it, right? And that started early from the time I was like 4 playing ball, like championship. So I was raised to be a winner. It's amazing. Baseball, football, don't matter. Like, we were stepping on the field, we were going to win a championship of some sort.
God, that's literally how you acted, too. You were so cool. I didn't know you were going to quit if they didn't go in that game. I'm pretty happy you didn't.
Well, no, don't say quit. I was just going to change sports.
Retire from football.
Yeah,
you were going to go.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you would have left our team. We would have been fucked. I couldn't even imagine what we would have been now that I'm thinking back. We would – a lot more punt. I mean, I would have got a lot of extra effort, I guess, on the entire punting thing. But there was never a moment that looked too big for you ever. You always were just like the coolest dude of all time. And I think that was one thing that radiated to the rest of us, I think. Like Rich is going to be Rich Rod. He is super intense. He is pissed, by the way. He is not happy with whatever's going on. And then you were like the perfect yin to the yin there, where you were always cool, always working, always ready. You were built to be a quarterback, I think. I'm happy and lucky that I was on a team that you led, brother. I want to let you know that. Go ahead, Tone.
Pat, be honest with me. You're just talking about your confidence. How hard is it as a quarterback in that system to actually read the defender and give the ball? I mean, how many times were you like, nah, I'm not reading, I'm just keeping it on this fucking play?
You're supposed to do your job, right? Obviously, when you have Owen next to you, when you have Steve, you have guys like Noel Levine next to you, right? You want to let those guys eat too, right? If they're doing well, you're doing well. So being a team player is important, right? There were 0 times where I just pulled it just because I wanted to. Now, I had a bad read, and it may have looked like I did it because I wanted to, but there was never an instance where I was just like, I'm going to be selfish here.
Pat, do you ever play defense? I could see you laying some people out.
AJ, man, I thought I was a gangster at defense back in the day until I got to 9th grade. Like, I thought I was a headhunter. Like, I thought I was the meanest person on the field. That's who I wanted to be. Rod Woodson. That was me as a kid, coming down from safety trying to smack people. And then everybody got big. So I was like,
Hey, UConn got a chance to eat a crackback, one of the best plays in history. Steve, who's faster than your team, was cutting this thing back for 50 yards. And Pat, there was numerous times where you would like wave Steve, like, let's go, I'm actually doing this. And that UConn play where this guy's running like 20 yards and you, with your fucking throwing shoulder. Now, listen, I didn't even think about that at the time. Let's relax a little bit, but also leave your, Dead body on the field. Dead body on the field. And I talked to like Darius Butler, and I talked to guys from UConn and people around the Big East, and they're like, every week when we had to play Pat White, it was a fucking nightmare. And that has to be like the biggest compliment of all time, I'd assume.
Somewhat. Other times they were trying to kill you, so it's like my body thanks them now. Right? Every week somebody trying to break my face, and I'm still like that play was amazing. And what's crazy is, as a park ball player, every game, that's what my team growing up was known for. And we were trying to crack back, knock people. It's obviously illegal now, but I was hoping Steve was just gonna keep running full speed, and that guy, whoever he was, would have been asleep.
Yeah, he was. I think you did. I think he was running full speed. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, you absolutely killed him, and it added another layer, I think, of respect from everybody in Morgantown and across the entire country. Who has been somebody that you've met along your travels and journeys here that said, "Oh my God, I used to play with you in NCAA," or "Oh my God, you're Pat White. I loved watching." We were on Thursdays, like every week. It felt like all eyes on West Virginia. Have you met anybody in your journeys that you didn't expect that watched you dominate at West Virginia?
There's been a handful of people. Most recently, with Phillip Rivers joining Eastern Shore Flag, he was talking to my brother. He was like, "Yeah, I remember Pat. I never met him, but I heard about him." And I was like, "Oh, what about me?" No, but that was pretty cool.
Hey, you were literally the person that they put on ESPN. Like you were the reason we were on Thursday nights all the time. Now, granted, I wasn't attending class much, but I assume that our academics weren't that fantastic. Those Thursday night games were fucking awesome. Awesome.
Rich was a genius for that.
Was
Nobody
that him?
was playing nothing. I don't know, but I mean, I'm giving him credit. He was the head coach at that time.
You remember when he would get mic'd up for those things at practice?
And they had to bleep out half of it.
I can't wait to watch you to continue to grow in the coaching ranks. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for allowing me to fly under your wing to incredible celebrations. I mean, a lot of great celebrations. I apologize for not performing as great as you did on numerous occasions. I wish I could have kept up, but I appreciate the hell out of you, brother.
Man, I appreciate you for reaching back down and pulling me back up. Right? That's a blessing to me and all the Mountaineers around the world. And let me say this, the Campbells too now. I mean, the Camels also. There you go.
The Campbell Camels.
Whoa. Talk about it. We in there.
Hey, let's fucking go, dude.
Have you ever seen a camel in action? Them things are mean.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like a pissed off horse. I rode one once. It spit. And they had it was a savage animal, Pat.
Oh, yeah. So run up on us if you want to.
Oh, yeah. You're going to get that camel. You're the best. Ladies and gentlemen, Pat White. Thank you.
Yeah! Hey,
you're the best, Pat.
Appreciate you, gentlemen.
Thank you, man. Good luck out there. He was so good at football.
So good.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I didn't know he was that close to leaving us.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's nuts.
I feel like I was around him a pretty good bit.
What would have been?
Well, there was this one time where there was something happening that none of us liked. There was some decision being made that nobody in the locker room liked. And Pat is like kind of the person that has to handle all that. And then I saw like a photo of him taking BP or something. I'm like, we got to fucking change. We can't, look what's potentially happening here. He was just doing it to clear his mind, he said.
Okay.
Because we were in the middle of some stuff, but it was just like, can't lose that guy. He was awesome, dude.